Hey guys, what's going on? It's Codiak here, and today we are talking about Grounded. It is launch day for Grounded, so I'm putting together my thoughts, first impressions on the game, and I have to admit, I played the demo, I played the launch day stuff. I think I've got about 4 hours under my belt at this point, and I like the game. I think the game is off to a really good start, and it really comes down to the basics, the systems, the story, where the story is going. There's not a lot of story in the game. That's actually my biggest gripe, but we'll get there in a minute. But let me break it all down for you guys from the very beginning. From the second you open your eyes in Grounded, you are a tiny part of a massive world, and it feels massive, and that's what's really cool about the game. You're in this backyard, there is things that want to kill you every which way, including spiders. I mean, spiders literally everywhere. Livid and I played for 3 hours together, and every time we were out crafting or trying to get dandelion stems or something like that, some sort of building materials, we would run into spiders. Luckily, there's a lot of ways to avoid spiders in the game, but there's not a lot of ways to kill spiders in the game right at the early parts. So it was a little frustrating, constantly having to dip and duck around and hide. But that's kind of how the developers, at least as far as I can tell, made the game to be played, to avoid spiders until you're at a point where you can take them on. But besides the spiders, there's a lot of really fun things to do in the game, specifically the exploration. If you like exploring, this is one of those games that feels larger than life, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that you really can't see too far ahead of you or behind you or around you. You have to use elevation to explore. If you get up on a rock or you get up on, a flower or something like that, you can start to see, oh, if I go over here, I'll run into a juice box, or if I run over here, I'll run into another landmark. And that's really cool, trying to find these landmarks throughout the backyard. The big ones for me are the juice box. That's a really cool implementation into the game. The juice box drops juice, which helps you satisfy your hunger and your thirst. You got to remember, Grounded is a first or third person survival game, so you're managing those things. It's definitely not a restrictive system. The only time that I ever felt like I was going to die was when I was way out away from everything. I had cleared my inventory, so I kind of put myself in that situation. Other than that, it's pretty easy to keep your hunger and your thirst up. We played the game at medium difficulty. I think there's one more harder difficulty called Woe, which is like everything's crazy hard. Your hunger and your thirst meters go down really quick. But on the medium difficulty, where I think most people will hang out, it wasn't bad at all. So once we got our bearings, Livid and I really wanted to do the story. We wanted to see how far the story content was in the game. They had admitted, the Obsidian team, that there wasn't going to be a lot of story content in this early access. And I want to stress that this is early access. They are giving us a taste of Grounded, and I do think that what they've given us is really good. But because we're MMO players, we saw a quest, we had to do the quest, and it was only like 3 or 4 quests. We've literally already beaten all the story content, so I'm really excited to see how they release more. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. It's really cool, even though it's incredibly fleeting how fast you get through the story. I was really excited. Livid was really excited. We kind of got giddy just exploring and running into these quest things and then realizing, oh my god, it's all over. So that was a little frustrating, but I think that's kind of part of dealing with an early access title, especially when they admit, like, hey, there's only 25% of the story in the game. Even that number is kind of shocking considering how fast we got through the story, but we'll wait and see. One thing I really liked about the game was the seamless biomes. You could be moving throughout the backyard and all of a sudden you're kind of in a slightly different area and you're like, oh, this is interesting, I'm going to check this out. And it's nice because it doesn't feel like you have to go through any load screens or you really have to go anywhere particular to get to someplace new. You can use your markers, you can kind of mark where you want to go, where you've been, and then the rest of it is just pure exploration. You get to a new biome and it actually feels like a genuine surprise when you get there, especially if you're on the ground. And I can't stress this enough, when you're on the ground, it is so hard to see out into the distance that, you could just kind of stumble into a new area and then you're like, oh my god, this is so cool. You'll stumble into landmarks, you'll stumble into anthills, you'll stumble into spider dens, and that's one of the coolest things possible, and it all comes down to how you're visualizing the game. Now, I played in third person, I think Livid played in first person, which is a complete game changer in and of itself, especially when you have spiders all around you. Playing in third person for me, 1, it relieved my anxiety, 2, it just allowed me to see the world a little bit better, and then I was constantly looking for that elevation, pointing out things to Livid like, hey, let's go over here, let's do this thing, let's go over here, let's do that thing. So I thought that was really, really fun. In terms of the combat, the enemies you fight, they have added a few other enemies in the game. The Spiderling, which is a tiny little spider, still attacks you, but nothing crazy. They've also added the Bombardier Beetle, which is a ranged, it's like ranged, but it's close-up range, so he'll only attack you when he's close to you, and he'll kind of like stick a stinger out and shoot something at you. So that was kind of scary when I first ran into them. Of course, you've got the stink bugs, you've got the ladybugs, all of that good stuff that you still have to fight. And Livid and I weren't even close to at that point where we were fighting these things in the first few hours. We were focused on finding a base of operations, starting to get our crafting under our belts. And this is not creative mode. You have to use all the research at the analyzer, research different things, and then you can, slowly start building new items, crafting new items, building your base. In creative mode, you have free reign of everything. It was really fun to play in creative mode. I like creative mode. There's not a ton in the game in terms of structural stuff. I think we realized that pretty quick, that once we were in creative mode, we're like, oh, this is fun, but I don't know how much long-term viability it has at this point. But again, it's early access. They're going to add a ton of stuff. There's so much they can do. The entire concept of this game allows them to do so many cool things. And that's what I'm really excited for, to see where all the items go, to see where all the building craftables go, to see the new enemies they added to the mix. They added bees into the mix. We didn't run into any of the bees during our playthrough, but we saw that there was bee armor and stuff like that in creative mode, and that was really fun. For me right now, Grounded has exploration going for it. The crafting system is not bad. The hauling system of like the grass planks and the broken stems from the dandelions is really cool. There's a lot that they can do. There's a lot they can still build upon, which is why I'm really hopeful this game will be good long term. I think the story content was really thin. I knew it was going to be thin, but I was shocked how thin it actually was. But I still think it's a really cool concept. You're shrunk, you don't know why you're little, you have to figure it all out. Once they add drips and drabs of that into the game, I think when we look back at this full picture of what Grounded is, we're going to be really pleasantly surprised with how cool all of the story content is. I'm really hopeful for that. I think they're just going to keep adding biomes, keep adding different insects. Obviously there's so many insects, so many things they can do with the idea of being in a backyard, being shrunk. It's just really exciting. So I think the concept gets an A+. Execution right now gets about a B+. I think the enemies are fun. The spiders, there's so many friggin' spiders. I think they went a little overboard. That's just my personal opinion. Some people may like it, some people may not. I think there are some frustrations still. The crafting was a little frustrating. Having to put floors down was a little frustrating. Having to find the floor blueprint for us was really frustrating. I don't want to spoil anything, but the way that we did it was kind of obscure. I don't know if that's normally how it is or if it's just the way that we ended up doing it. So there are still some tiny frustrations, but honestly, execution, in my opinion, was really, really good. Like I said, a solid B+, and I'm really hopeful that there is more to this game coming, and I'm super excited about that. Anyways, guys, my name is Codiak. I hope you enjoyed this first impressions of Grounded. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Of course, if you want more Grounded content in your feed, don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, my name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legion Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.